Good morning. Ugh, does anyone else take a multivitamin? Why are they so gross? I mean, I know why they're so gross. It's just condensed metal into a pill form, but bleh. Okay. Good morning, everybody. What do we have here? Okay. All right, so it's Tuesday. It's, we're diving into the new week. We've got this new class schedule. What do we think? Fist to 5 on the new class schedule? And I can't see all of you, so it's all right. We'll talk to you more about it later, but, ooh, okay, fine. Yeah, sure. Okay. Whatever, I guess. For us, I feel like it's kind of a bummer because we were just hitting our stride with like a good routine, but it doesn't change us that much. So just for those of us with a little OCD, like, oh, Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays, oh, we can't do it, but it'll be fine. The good news is we get to keep these sessions, which I think are, the most helpful for those of you that have been coming in the mornings, but even more, not more so, the most helpful for you, but then still helpful for those that are watching the videos later. So that's good. Great. We started, I think there was like one more, the video yesterday for AP assignment was still just like the end of Unit 2, but now we really dive into Unit 3. So maybe you've started reviewing Unit 3 a little bit. So all of our FRQ practice this week will all be Unit 3. So you'll get 3 morning FRQs, the 2 FRQs I assigned as homework, and then your in-class FRQ. So you'll have a total of 6 to practice for Unit 3 this week. But I have a total of 8 in the arsenal, so I'll post the extra 2 that I have anyway, just for if anyone just wants the extra practice. But then, of course, they're out there. I mean, you can hunt the internet for endless amounts of FRQs if you wanted them. Okay, so let's jump right in. I will go ahead and flash the FRQ up here, give you a couple minutes to write it down. Do your best to not jump in quite yet, and then we can kind of dissect it and go from there. Okay. Just read it aloud. Okay, so it says, identify 2 environmental factors that can change the rate of an enzyme-mediated reaction. Discuss how each of those 2 factors would affect the reaction rate of an enzyme. Okay, I'm going to switch. I can always come back to this, so don't stress if you didn't finish copying it down altogether. Hello? How do I do that? Wake up. Oh, there we go. No? Yes. Yay, okay. So in the question today, we've got some key FRQ terms that we're just going to dissect a little bit, just because I think it's good to have that arsenal of what is it exactly asking me to do versus me just rambling on, not really answering the question or doing something they don't want me to. Don't forget that in general, they want you to do what they ask. So it's tempting to do more than what they've asked you to, but that can actually cost you points. That if you go rambling on and they have to search for the answer when they just asked you to, just identify something or just explain one thing, and like you go on and on a tangent about something, that can actually work against you if they have to search for your answers. Remember to just be really concise, and only do what they ask. Okay, so in this one, they use the terms identify and discuss. So those are our two today. We've had identify before, so you can refer back to that one, but we're just gonna make sure we remember what it means to identify, and that's to associate with someone or something. It can also mean to indicate. If we break it down even smaller, associate, match, or connect. Indicate is to point out, pick. And nothing more. Don't get, overzealous when you're identifying something. Here's a group of puppies. Which one is your favorite? Or identify which one is your favorite. And you literally are like, that one. That's it. That's all you have to do. You just are picking it. You're pointing it out. That one is my favorite. Not because yet. Identify does not include the because. And then we're going to discuss today. So to discuss is to write about something, in this case. Discuss can obviously be talk, but in this case, we're going to write about something in detail. And when you do that, you definitely want to consider lots of different angles. So whatever you're discussing, does it have many layers? Does it have many opinions? Are there different topics within what you're discussing? Just look at it from lots of different perspectives. Now, one thing we can cross out as far as science goes are opinions. Never, never, ever, 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 ever write the phrase, I think. Not to say, I shouldn't say that. That sounded really dramatic. I shouldn't say that you should never have your own opinion or say, I think, in a sentence in your lifetime. Of course, you should have opinions. And you should start sentences with, I think, lots of times, but not in science. Not in this case, not when you're answering for the AP. They don't want to know what your opinion is. They want to know what facts do you know in your brain. Okie dokie. The one last thing that I will point out here is that it gives you a very specific number. You should always, I think is it even in cap locks, I think, or in bold or something, that it's telling you today, we only want 2. Don't get crazy. I'm looking for 2. And when they indicate something like that, where it's like, we want to see 2 of these, or I want to see list 3 or whatever, then make sure that that's really clear for them. Maybe you're using bullet points or numbering. Some of you that were showing me your FRQs already are doing a great job of this, but maybe you're just using bold font, or you're underlining. highlighting. Any way to really, really show them that, you know, hey, here's my answer right here. This is where it starts. And right away it says identify 2 environmental factors. So we know that the 2 things that we're looking for today are environmental factors. So maybe you just start off by making yourself a list of environmental factors you know of. And then you can go from there, deciding how you can maybe discuss which of those environmental factors or how those environmental factors play into enzyme reactions. This is a short FRQ, so it should only take you 15 minutes or less. We've already kind of picked it apart, but I'll still give you the full 15, but I'll check in with you in about 10 or so and see where we land. All right. Have a glass, I'm here, ask questions. And I'll leave this screen up for another minute or so, and then I'll put the actual FRQ back up. So we're just about 5 minutes in, and at this point you should have definitely chosen your 2 environmental factors that you're discussing. Does anyone want to share one of the environmental factors they're going to discuss? You don't have to do the discussion, just tell us what the environmental factor is.
Temperature.
Temperature, great. Perfect one, Jayla. Someone else have a different one?
pH.
pH,
Yeah.
Great. Oh, Sophia, you were saying pH as well?
Yes.
Awesome. Yep, pH, great. Temperature. Anyone have a totally different one? Great, we're all doing temperature and pH, or secret ones that we're not sharing, and that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna ramble off a couple of the other ones that I jotted down. Continue doing what you're doing though. Temperature, pH, salinity, different inhibitors, stirring or mixing, agitation, pressure, oxygen levels available, light that's available. Continue doing you though. I'll check in with you in another 4 or so minutes, see where we're at. I will say really quick though, sorry, that when you're discussing, you don't, remember not to go crazy. They want to know what you know concisely. So I would say in a short FRQ like this, max 3 sentences for your discussion, max. So you're like, identify is 1 sentence, and then 2, 3 sentences discussing how that relates to enzymes, and then move on to the next one. If you're getting too wordy and you're feeling you're not getting your point across in that few of sentences, then that's when we can chat and work on how to bring it down to some concise answers so they know what you know quickly.
I have a bit of a random question.
Yeah, Courtney?
If you're starting a sentence with PH, is the P still lowercase?
Yeah. Good question. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes in. How we doing? Just checking in. Anyone need some more time? Okay, great. Then we will start to discuss then, which is great since this was a discussion related FRQ. Does anyone want to share just one of their environmental factors and then read verbatim, or you can even share your screen what your discussion was for that?
I said I said temperature.
Great.
And I said that temperature can slow down the reaction rate if it is raised past the optimal temperature for an enzyme. And once the temperature passes the optimal temperature, it ruins the active site and denatures the enzyme.
Perfect. That's great. So Jayla hit on 2 points within the same environmental factor. So, and that's totally fine. Her environmental factor was temperature. And if there's a change in the temperature, then it can affect 2 things that are related to enzymatic reactions. The first thing she mentioned was that temperature can change the rate of an enzymatic reaction. So, you know, she can, I'm sure she was just kind of paraphrasing what she said, but she can say something like, you know, as temperature increases, rate increases. As temperature decreases, rate decreases. So because of that relationship, enzymatic reactions change with changing temperature, something like that. She also mentioned that temperature change can denature or stop a reaction because, you know, the molecules are breaking apart. So if temperature gets too high or something like that, molecules tend to fall apart and not be able to bond the way that they're supposed to. So she used the word denature, which is fantastic. That is different than the rate of reaction. So she mentioned 2 things within the same environmental factor. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Why not? She totally can relate 2 different, you know, areas of the effect of the enzymatic reaction on one environmental factor and still be within the parameters of what the question is asking. What she doesn't want to do is go on and on and on and on about them, right? If what she wrote was as concise as what she just told us, then we're in good shape. I, as the scorer, clearly saw that she picked an environmental factor, and she can clearly tell me about 2 ways that that environmental factor affects enzymatic reactions. Could she leave it at just 1 and get it right? Absolutely. Cool. Anyone else want to talk about another one?
Well, I wrote that pH can affect the reaction rate of an enzyme because the pH affects the amino acid interactions, so how the amino acids fold into the protein. And if the pH is wrong, the protein won't be folded right and it will lose its active site and lose its function.
Perfect. Great. So that's Sophia's one answer for one environmental factor. She picked pH, and she talked about how that pH affects the folding of proteins and amino acids. And if proteins aren't folded right, they don't bind correctly at their active sites. Therefore, we don't have an enzymatic reaction at all. Perfect. The only thing I would say with Sophia's is if she wanted to, and this is going above and beyond, and only if she could do it quick and well, she could add a quick picture. You know, oh, here's a protein folded correctly and it looks like a heart. Here's a protein folded incorrectly because the pH is wrong and now it's a star and it doesn't fit in the active site anymore. Something like that, if she wanted to. That's going above and beyond. And that's for those of us that sometimes if we read back what we wrote and we just, oh, I don't know if I'm being clear enough. I don't know if they're really gonna see what I'm saying. Maybe I'll just throw in a quick picture as long as it doesn't take me too long and my picture makes sense and I'm not, you know, struggling with my art skills. Then yeah, if you feel like it enhances it and it'll help your reader know what you know, then you should do it. Great ones. Anyone else want to share?
I also did temperature, but I kind of
Great.
focused on how if you increase temperature, like I went into a description about optimal temperature,
Uh-huh.
but how the temperature causes the enzymes in the substrates to increase in their movement, which increases the likelihood of enzymes and substrates binding, and that increases the rate of the reaction.
Gotcha. Great. So you're talking more about like molecular collisions, so to speak?
Yeah.
Great. Yep, I mean, and that's perfect. This is more for everyone, not just Chanel, but, you know, if you feel like your description really, for this one specifically, is focused on, you know, chemical reactions, just then relate a chemical reaction to an enzymatic reaction. It's the same thing. You know, just make sure your reader knows that you know that that's the same. We're talking about chemical bonds or molecules moving fast or whatever it may be, the reactions going faster. And all enzymatic reactions are chemical reactions. Something like that, just so your reader knows you know. Good one. Sweet. Anyone have any more questions on this one? It was a pretty easy one, starting the week off light with a nice short FRQ. I'll just be repetitive in saying that remember these short FRQs especially are meant to be short, right? They only give you 15 minutes. And most likely because of how great you are and how much you're gonna study and how organized you're gonna be, you're gonna have the answer to this before you even finish reading the question. You know what I mean? Regardless of how it's worded and which one FRQ you get, the likelihood that you have already practiced something that's so similar is really high. So just remember to keep yourself organized, catalog all these FRQs so that you know how to find them when it comes down to the real thing, and then know that you do not have to fill that 15 minutes. I've seen this one before. I know exactly what I want to answer. Get that answer down. Don't second guess yourself. Don't try to fill the time by still writing or, ooh, I think today I'll add a new picture. No. If you didn't add it before, you know, the day of is not the time to get creative. The day of is the time to grab all that you know, slam it down, and submit it, okay? I know you guys, it's gonna feel weird to be like, oh my gosh, I'm done with this one and it's only 5 minutes. I still have 10 more minutes to solve and 5 more minutes to upload. Maybe I should do more. Don't do more. Just submit it. Trust and believe you did it right the first time. And it's gonna be fantastic. Alrighty. Last minute questions?
In the videos you assigned, some of them, like when they discuss the topics, they go over some labs that they did in the unit, and I know that for some of them we didn't do those labs.
Okay.
But then when they go over some FRQs,
They talk about those labs.
So do you think that they'll do that in the AP exam as well?
Oh yeah. It's a good point, and I wouldn't count it out. So yeah, us being very vigilant on these videos and making sure that we're kind of learning, you know, even things that we didn't know before is important. And it's a good point to me as well, not knowing what you've done and not done in your class. You know, my assumption is that you did it all or something, you know, so yeah, pointing things out specifically to me about those so that maybe I can make some quick videos or, you know, suggest some extra simulations or something so you can kind of do labs from home. That would probably be helpful. So Chanel, if you don't mind, just maybe in an email, shoot me whatever specific lab you're talking about so that I can look it up and figure out some supplemental material for it. And then same thing moving forward. If you catch something that, oh man, we never learned this, we skipped over it, that'll be important. Thanks
Right.
for thinking of that. Okay, so I feel like it's kind of, you know, a small group to be making this announcement to, but I'm just going over our Zoom schedule for the week. So I know that our schedule is different, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Breakfast at Tiffany's FRQ sessions like this still Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 o'clock. Then on Tuesdays now, AP Bio meets at 10 a.m. if you're second period. So Tuesdays, 10 a.m. second period. And then on Thursdays is third period. That's easy to remember, right? Thursday, third. Thursday is third period, and that's also at 10 a.m. for AP Bio. So different days this week as far as the group goes. We're still going to be working on the same FRQ. And then you've got the 2 in your homework as well. Again, please, 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 please feel free to, you know, obviously if you have an FRQ that you're supposed to turn into the Dropbox, do that. But if you want like really specific feedback, just shoot it my way. I'm happy to like break it apart and give you all the constructive criticism I can to make sure that you're on the right track. If you just want to check in, then it'll be there. You guys are fantastic and great, and I'll see a few of you in a little bit at 10 o'clock. All right, see you in a bit or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.